What's up, guys? Lore here for more Heart of the Swarm beta action. We have a Zerg versus Protoss here today. This is from WhiteRa's replay pack that he released on his website, white-ra.com, I believe is what the actual site is. I will put it in the description. Anyway, our Zerg player up here in the north position, we have SjoW as the red Zerg. So a very, very exciting European Zerg. I believe he's a European Zerg. I'm actually not sure off the top of my head right now, but I believe he was European. I actually haven't checked that. I should check those things. Anyway, down here on the west side of the map, we have WhiteRa as the blue Protoss. If you were not able to figure that out from the fact that I already said it was from the WhiteRa replay pack. So, let's see what sort of action these guys can do for us. I've been attempting to cast several games from WhiteRa so far, and he's been doing all sorts of just weird timings, weird aggression, and weird unit compositions against Zerg players and other Protoss players. So I'm really curious what he's got in store this game. And I just haven't seen SjoW play in quite a while. It would have been, gosh, what was the last time I actually saw SjoW play? I mean, he's been playing for sure, and he's been active. But I think the last match I actually saw from him was MLG Rally about 2 years ago. I just haven't really seen much of SjoW's play lately, so I'm actually really excited to be able to cast a game that he played in and see what sort of stuff he's been up to. Going for the spawning pool first build here on, this is Core Hall City, which is a very interesting choice, actually. I've pointed this out in a lot of different casts so far, but you have a really easy to take natural right next to your main with a really easily defended ramp. It is a bit wider of a ramp, but still relatively easy to defend both of these bases, so it's actually really interesting that he decided to go spawning pool first. He is going to get up his expansion immediately afterwards on 15 supply, so it's not setting him behind super far. I guess it's just a choice he's making because he wants to be a little bit safer. He wants to make sure, okay, if WhiteRa goes for anything cheeky, which, like I said earlier, WhiteRa's been all sorts of cheeky, then I'm going to be safe against any sort of super early aggression. I'll be able to get those Zerglings out. Meanwhile, WhiteRa is not actually being cheeky at all. He's going for a pretty normal 1 gate, 1 cybercore build, and just pumping out probes as fast as possible. We're going to have to watch and see when he's actually going to take his expansion. He has done a few, like I said, very strange builds. He did a couple of them where he would go 2 gate before expand, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. It looks like he's heading down here with the intention of putting together himself a nexus, cobbling it together out of the bits of blue or whatever it is that Protoss actually make their units out of. And actually decides to wait a second. Instead, he gets out a Stalker first, probably because he sees this Overlord coming over here. So that's an interesting little choice. He decided, no, I'm going to Chrono Boost this Stalker to kill off, presumably, he's actually got it rallied way up over here. I would presume he wants to kill off that Overlord first, but no, he's actually just going to go ahead and drop down the Nexus. Just decided he wanted that Stalker out right away, so interesting choice. He's going to be able to come out here and spot these couple of Zerglings, and they are going to turn around. I feel like they actually could have gotten past, but the Stalker is a little bit faster, if I remember correctly. I may be remembering completely wrong. It looks like the Zergling is actually faster, even without speed, so good to know. Was that a change made at some point that I just missed? Because I was almost positive that Stalkers were just slightly faster than unupgraded Zerglings. Either way, here's WhiteRa over here in SjoW's base, taking a little bit of damage on that Stalker, only to the shield so far. He's managed to keep from taking any structural damage. Now he's going to turn around and, whoops, that was a mistake. Took a whole bunch of damage for that. Stalker now very low in the orange health and being chased. They are moving at the exact same speed, so I am completely and totally insane. They are just moving at the exact same speed. Trying to come down here to the relative safety of his own base, but actually, I'm not actually sure how safe this really is. He's going to sit up here in this, oh, nice little move there. Actually, I feel like SjoW could have run through that in a hurry. WhiteRa was trying to, almost like a castling move. He was trying to move his rook, which in this case was the Zealot, to the side so that his queen, or excuse me, his king could hide behind. Either way, there's a whole bunch of Zerglings now over here from SjoW. Attempting to just poke away a little bit. It does take a whole bunch of damage, and with this Mothership core out, WhiteRa should now feel relatively safe. And he's going up to, he has now finished his Stargate, and he's going up to, looks like a total of 4 gateways. excuse me, only 3 gateways. All right, going up to a total of 3 gateways and getting out an Oracle. We've seen him being extremely active with these Oracles so far, so that'll be very, very good to see if he continues that caliber of play. Again, SjoW just poking up here with these these Zerglings, taking a little bit of damage and then backing off. He's going to send in this Overlord to try and get some sort of vision on what's going on over here, but unfortunately there just isn't much to see around this direction, and this Stalker is going to come down here and say, hey, quit poking around in here, you kids. Get off my lawn. You see, it's a funny joke because WhiteRa is one of the oldest pro gamers, so that's what's going on right there. Anyway, this move I have been waiting to see for a long time, and holy crap, it's finally happening. Meanwhile, WhiteRa just scoots by on his with his Oracle. The SjoW is actually going to kill this collapsible rock tower, which has relatively low health, only 500 health, and these rocks are going to fall down and block WhiteRa's third expansion. Thank you, SjoW, for finally doing that. By the way, you've got entombs going on in your mineral line, so you should probably take care of that. But thank you so much for finally doing that and blocking off this third base. That's super frustrating for WhiteRa, because now he doesn't have a really great place to take a third. This one is blocked off by those destructible rocks, and down here, this one is blocked off by this destructible debris. So it's actually kind of frustrating now for WhiteRa trying to take a third base. I mean, he could theoretically come way down here or something like that, but he's going to have to... I feel like a much better choice would be to clear out one of these 2 bases first. So that's interesting. And WhiteRa has been super active with Oracles, like I was saying earlier. He has this one out over here, which is going to be regenerating some of that energy, and this one up over here generating some energy, getting about to the point where he can move in and do another Entomb. So that's very, very cool to see how active he's been with us. Their Entomb ability is just so good, and if you have 2 of them, you can keep that going so often. Meanwhile, SjoW is going to clear out this destructible debris and probably take this as his third base instead of over here at this location, so that's an interesting choice to make. It's a little bit more aggressive of a choice. It puts this this hatchery a little bit more exposed and a little easier for WhiteRa to actually get to, but it does also mean that when units are created, they spawn in a little bit closer to WhiteRa's base. Here comes this Oracle coming in now, going to get off that Entomb ability and just duck back out. I'm going to check the income tab real quick just to see what happens. It looks like SjoW actually might have the stronger economy normally, but with this base locked out of being able to farm minerals for the time being, he just isn't able to actually mine right now. So he's going to clear those up, actually pulls back his entire army to be able to clear those off. That seems a little bit excessive to me, but whatever, he's going to clear those off and go right back on his merry way to mining once again. And this is a lot of Zerglings headed towards WhiteRa's base. I don't know if he quite has what he needs, but fortunately he does have this Observer going to come out that's going to spot it. Can he get the force fields off in time? No, it doesn't look like he needs them. SjoW's just going to go ahead and pull back, but he does have this Tempest up, just sort of picking away at those Zerglings. Has he finished the range upgrade? Yes, he has. Right away taking the range upgrade on that thing. And here come the Hydralisks. Those can tear through Tempest in a big hurry. Nice force fields going down, blocking and trapping in those Zerglings. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's really going to help too much, because with all these Hydralisks here, they're just chewing through the front of WhiteRa's base. That cannon's going to go down, and now WhiteRa actually doesn't have too much in the way of defense. I'm going to go ahead and check the units tab. Yeah, he really just doesn't have much of anything over here that's going to be able to fight this stuff off. But somehow he manages to do it. I really feel like this Mothership Core does a lot more damage than people realize when it activates that Purify ability, because every time I've seen WhiteRa in a position like this, oh, and here's a problem. SjoW does not realize that his units are slowly being picked away by those Tempests. You're going to come back in here and try and do a little bit more damage. Those Tempests need to turn around. They are relatively slow. And now moving back out here, WhiteRa's actually moving out a little bit and sending out his Zealots to try and do some damage. I feel like that might have been a mistake, because these Hydralisks are doing a lot of damage, but he is ultimately able to pull them back. Those Tempests are able to do damage from such a long range that he has to pull back quite a ways to actually be out of range of them, which is a very, it's interesting. It means that it's a lot harder to contain WhiteRa right now, because he can just sit in his base and fire off shots with these Tempests and slowly whittle you down, which means that SjoW is now, he's now sitting back here to defend. He says, you know what, I'm not even going to hang out by your base anymore. I'm just going to start losing units if I sit way over there. You're going to have to come to me. Taking out an Overlord there, very nice. You're going to have to come to me if you want to do anything. So it looks like that's what WhiteRa is going to do. Sliding up over here with these Tempests once again. Is there any sort of detection over here? There isn't. So WhiteRa could theoretically move this Observer in to be able to make full use of that 22 range and do quite a lot of damage. The Oracle's actually coming in here. Does WhiteRa actually... I'm wondering if he used the Preordain ability here somewhere. He very well may have. Either that or he's just flying around over there for vision purposes. Now, there are Corruptors out on the map, which SjoW can use to chase off these Tempests, but not enough of them just yet. So he can't quite... Oh, never mind, there's 3 more of them down here. So I feel like he would be able to win a straight-up fight against these 3 Tempests. But... interesting, very interesting. I'm actually going to check WhiteRa's vision real quick. No, it doesn't look like he used Preordain, or if he did, it's already fallen off. So I'm not really sure... what the Oracle was doing up in there in the middle of everything, but perhaps that is just a mystery that will have to be left unresolved, or at least until I watch this VOD later. So now, yet again, SjoW moving out here with a relatively large army. I want to check his upgrades real quick. He's got +1 melee, or excuse me, +1 ground carapace, which is cool. He's got +1 range damage as well. Moving in here now, he does have a whole lot of these Corruptors in here doing a whole bunch of damage, but there are a few Stalkers as well. There's actually quite a few Stalkers here for WhiteRa, so he's doing as much damage as he possibly can, slowly losing those Tempests. I almost feel like the Tempest should be focusing on the ground army a little bit more, because they will eventually die to all of these Corruptors, and he's not able to kill the Corruptors quite quickly enough, but he does eventually force the remainder of those Hydralisks to pull back, and he did lose a lot of Tempests there. He lost at least 2 Tempests, only has this 1 remaining, but yet again, he was able to push back SjoW with that unit composition. And it's really strange. It's funny how well this works out. The Tempest is a really, really low DPS unit. It does 30 damage per hit, but its attack speed is so slow that it doesn't end up doing a whole lot of damage over time. But the fact that it just, for whatever reason, it just seems to be working out for WhiteRa. He's able to do enough damage with them to be able to supplement his ground army and push things back. Anyway, let's check and see what's going on over here with SjoW. Haven't checked in on him in a while. He does have his 3rd base now up and fully saturated. Well, almost fully saturated. 14 to 24. 14 to 24 over here as well. And 15 to 24. I wonder if that's on purpose or if he's just trying to spread them evenly, because he has pretty much even numbers of workers at each base. So that's an interesting choice from him. And also a hatchery now coming in over here to take a 4th base, because his 4th base was not blocked off. So again, very, very cool little choice there. Again, WhiteRa is so active with that Entomb ability. He had at one point 2 of those things flying around. I don't know if he still has... nope, he actually now has no Oracles, because those Corruptors were able to chase him down and finish him off. But he is actually continuing to build Tempest. He just popped out another one, and I'm wondering if he's going to continue to build even more after that. Interesting. WhiteRa really seems to be liking the Tempest unit quite a bit. He's been using it a lot. A lot of Protoss haven't really been that excited about it, but WhiteRa is using it quite a bit. Ooh, a Dark Shrine coming up for WhiteRa. That's a very interesting choice. Interesting placement as well, but very, very interesting choice, as he just now finally gets his 3rd... Oh, excuse me, never mind. He does have this hidden 4th down here, which looks to be starting to get somewhere. A lot of chrono boost on that, but starting to get somewhere. So this is actually his 4th base now taken here at this location. I wonder if SjoW has actually seen this 4th base down here. No, he has not. So he doesn't really know that's active yet. Oh, that range on those Tempests, that hurts. That hurts quite a bit for SjoW. This Observer over here allowing those Tempests to take full use of that 22 range and picking off a Swarm Host before they can even... before they can do anything at all. Now, the interesting thing about these Swarm Hosts, we saw this in a match with Stefano. You can actually drop them there, force them to spawn their Locusts, and they will actually make it all the way over here. Those Locusts will survive long enough to get all the way over here, assuming he has the upgrade, which let's check real quick and see if he has that. Yes, he does. So, since he does have the upgrade for the Locust that allows them to live an extra 10 seconds, they can actually get all the way over here and start doing damage while sitting at his main. So he can actually burrow those and be doing damage right now. He's not choosing to. I wonder if he just doesn't know that you can actually do that right now. But it's very, very interesting. We saw Stefano doing that against Thorzane in a different match that I cast, and it was actually surprisingly effective, for considering that it's essentially free. It doesn't cost him anything to be able to do that, other than the fact that he does then have to wait for the respawn time on the... Uh-oh, what's going on here? Yep, that's a free bunch of damage on those. That looks like a missed rally right there. 3 Swarm Hosts for WhiteRa, and ooh, almost a 2nd one as well as this is going to go down for sure. Yeah, that's a bit of a missed rally there from SjoW. And now look at WhiteRa. He recognizes that his observer is not getting killed. There is an overseer relatively nearby, but he's just using that ridiculous range of those Tempests to be able to just take pot shots at whatever he feels like. And SjoW doesn't feel comfortable moving up there because he doesn't know. There we go. Now he's starting to do that trick I was telling you about a second ago, where you spawn in the locusts, and look how far these things were already at half of their timer, and they still got all that distance before he was able to, before they eventually died. If he was sending them out right away like he's doing right now, sure, WhiteRa can pick at those with his Tempest, but it doesn't matter. It takes a bunch of shots to, I guess he's actually not going to send them all the way. That's a bit disappointing. SjoW seems to be slipping a little bit here. This I feel like his micro, he's getting distracted somewhere, possibly by oh, never mind. I guess WhiteRa is actually out of his oracles now, so I'm not actually sure what's going on right there. SjoW seems to be having a little bit of trouble keeping control of everything. These things are going to come down over here. He's going to lose a whole bunch of them before they even get in range. They can make it a lot farther than that. Like, see, this batch is now at mostly full health. And he's going to stop them right there and not actually do anything with them. I'm not sure at all what SjoW is really doing. You can actually control those directly by selecting them. So I wonder if this is just an earlier game that SjoW has played or something. Not quite sure how to use all these new units just yet. Completely understandable. Very, very early in the beta still. Now we have a double maxed army here. SjoW attempting to move in as much as he can, and these locusts hurt. Now that they're actually getting in range, they hurt, and they do a lot of damage. And what's more important is they're actually, like, sort of tricking the Tempest a little bit. They're making WhiteRa have to be really, really careful about his micro, because he needs to be forcing them to attack either the Corruptors or anything else for that matter. Just anything but those locusts. They're going to do a bunch of damage, but it takes so many hits to actually kill them. They have a lot of armor. They have +2 upgrades on their weapons as well. And they just take a long time for Tempest to actually kill. Oh, and the Mothership Core goes down as well. This is actually looking pretty scary for WhiteRa. Now that these Swarm Hosts are over here and able to send in those Locusts, they do so much damage. Swarm Hosts are so good, and SjoW has a lot of them. WhiteRa really needs to figure out a way to deal with those. The Colossus seem to be working relatively well in taking them out, but they're free units. They don't cost anything. If they do any damage at all, that's damage that's done for completely free as they're moving in there. So unless he can kill all of them before they even fire, which isn't the case, he's losing Stalkers, and now the Corruptors are moving in. They're going to take out that Tempest almost immediately, take out this other one as well, and a third Tempest is going to go down, and now the Colossus are going to be next for sure. They're moving up in there trying to get away as much as they can, and there really isn't much left for WhiteRa. He does have this one Dark Templar over here, but unfortunately there is an Overseer that's going to spot him, and he's not going to be able to do anything. So WhiteRa is now in a really bad situation. He's at 120 supply to SjoW's maxed army, and even a bunch of that supply is tied up in units that aren't going to do him much good. This Void Ray isn't going to do anything. Those Dark Templar aren't going to do anything. I feel like WhiteRa is pretty much screwed.com at this point. He is not going to be able to finish up much of anything. He's about to lose his Cyber Core as well, losing his there was a gateway over there they lost, his pylons, losing his cannon. He's about to pop out another Void Ray, but what's the Void Ray going to do? It's going to die to 1,000 Corruptors as soon as it actually spawns. So I think WhiteRa is screwed here. I don't know that he can actually pull anything off here, but let's wait and see what he actually does. Let's not count him out just yet. He is WhiteRa. He's done a lot of amazing things in the past. Somehow, maybe he's going into the whole Day 9, I'll abbreviate it as the WFB rotation or strategy, where you lose your whole base. Yeah, maybe that's what he's doing here. Just lose everything and then do something cheeky over here with Dark Templar. Maybe that's his plan. He does have a bunch of Zealots coming in over there as well, so maybe he's gonna try for a base race, but that's not a base race he can win right now. That's not something he can actually do. But what else is he gonna do? This is really his only option right now. So Locusts absolutely everywhere here in WhiteRa's main, just chewing through everything. He's going to send in this bunch of Zealots, take out a Queen, cool. Going to try and take out some drones, whatever, man. Dark Templar are ripping this up, but it doesn't really matter at this point. SjoW just has so many Swarm Hosts. He's just letting his Locusts expire. It doesn't even matter. He's just killing everything he can. And in fact, it doesn't even look like a whole lot of damage has been done over here by WhiteRa just yet. So he does, however, have all of this stuff down in the south. That is WhiteRa's saving grace right now. SjoW can take all this stuff out, but he's got a relatively immobile army. It's almost like siege tanks in that he needs to be burrowing these and sending out the locusts to really do any damage. He does have this bunch of hydralisks, which do seem to be doing a fair bit of damage themselves. But it's actually possible that if, especially with this other bunch of zealots over here, I don't know. Now that these swarm hosts are over here, I feel like WhiteRa is still pretty screwed. He does have this bunch of zealots, but those are going to die to these hydralisks right now. Actually, managed to take out a few of them first, but now they're pretty much done. They're going to try and run away as quickly as they can. This expansion is just straight up dead. The rest of his main base is now dying, but he does have this base down over here. What sort of... Wow, he actually has a whole bunch of... Holy crap. WhiteRa, you've been busy, bro. He's got a whole bunch of gateways up already, and now finishing his cyber core, meaning he's going to be able to warp in 9 stalkers right away, and that actually could be exactly what he needs. He doesn't have an observer out anywhere, I don't believe, so it's going to be really, really hard for him to actually kill those swarm hosts. He needs to be getting one of those as quickly as possible. But, oh, nice. Picking off a few of the swarm hosts right here, and just barely able to pick off all 4 of those before they're able to burrow. And now blinking up here, able to do a whole bunch of damage to these as well, taking out 1 overseer. Those overseers are so important. He needs to kill as many of those as he can so that he can get out observers and start killing those swarm hosts, and he does have blink available, so he's going to be able to blink back and just sort of abuse the lack of mobility that SjoW has right now. And he's going to come right up here into his main. He's going to start doing as much damage as he can up here. There are a couple of swarm hosts burrowed up over here, at least one of them right there, and I believe, yep, there's a couple more of them up over here that are going to burrow up over there. So I'm not sure how successful he can really be right here, but he, like I said, he has blink available, so he can just blink right out and try to get away. But uh-oh, it looks like SjoW has figured out where WhiteRa's new army, or where the rest of WhiteRa's army is. It's so hard to say. Gonna lose those couple. Ooh, wow, manages to blink that away with 1 hit point. That is the luckiest stalker I've ever seen in my entire life. Still poking around with these stalkers, being as active as he possibly can. WhiteRa is not ready to give this game up. He just says, you know what, I'll take damage from your from your locusts. I don't even care if they're free units. I'll kill them too. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It might have mattered, WhiteRa. You just lost a whole bunch of stalkers for no real reason. Try and get out as much as you can. I'm gonna check the income tab to see real quick. Yeah. Wow. This is crazy. WhiteRa actually has the stronger economy right now. By a lot. He did a whole bunch of damage up over here to SjoW's economy that SjoW is actually kind of... He's kind of behind in terms of economy at the very least. He's not getting any minerals right now. He has this base up over here that he could be mining from, but he doesn't have much in the way. He's actually distance mining. This is a poor choice by SjoW. He needs to be actually sending all of those drones over here, I would imagine, would be a much better choice. Meanwhile, WhiteRa is still poking around over here, killing off this hatchery. That hurts. That hurts. Oh, is he not going to cancel it? Oh, he did not cancel it. That hurts so much for SjoW right now. Meanwhile, however, locusts are ripping the crap out of WhiteRa's main right now. Now that this has been discovered, I don't know, man. I don't think that WhiteRa can really do much to recover from this. He's doing as much as he can, and he's been holding on for a long time and really doing tons and tons of damage up here in SjoW's main. But at the end of the day, SjoW still has a 110 supply lead on WhiteRa. So I honestly don't know that there's much of anything WhiteRa can really do to recover from this. He's down to now just these 3 gateways and 1 robo facility, which is not what he needs to take this out. He needs much, much more production capabilities than that. He's trying to get out this observer as quickly as he can, and possibly, maybe, by some stroke of pure luck, he might be able to get that out in time to be able to pick off the remainder of these swarm hosts that are taking apart his base, but unfortunately that doesn't look to be the case because he's been blocked off. He can't even get those stalkers down to his main base to be able to finish them off. Meanwhile, the locusts are just doing locust stuff, which is slowly creeping across WhiteRa's poor main and just tearing it apart. Now losing his cyber core, losing his final gateway very soon, and he's going to lose his robo facility as well. He did actually manage to get that observer out, so crazily enough, he's going to defend his main now. He's going to be able to finish off the rest of these. Nice little blink micro as well, and be able to finish off the rest of these. Maybe not as nice as I thought. Finish off the rest of these hydralisks. This game is starting to make me crazy, man. He's actually managed to defend. I don't know why he's still in the game. I actually just do not know why WhiteRa is still in this game. This is ridiculous. He's 100 supply behind. He's making a pylon to try and power his one robotics facility, which is his only structure that's actually doing anything. He's losing a whole bunch of his stalkers out here in the middle to this bunch of locusts that's here. And he may actually end up losing the rest of them as well. Nice move by SjoW there, actually corralling in the remaining stalkers with his moving swarm host so that the locusts, which were already spawned, could finish off the rest of WhiteRa's army. And that's it. Finally, WhiteRa gives the GG. Very, very crazy game right there, guys. That was ridiculous. WhiteRa holding on to the bitter end, went down fighting, and unfortunately just was not able to come up with a good counter to these swarm hosts in time. Those things are so good and do so much damage. Anyway, that was an awesome game. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Lore, and I'll see you in the next match.